Hi, Gene.
Hi, Kirsten. God bless. Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Good evening. It's
Evening,
still
yeah.
kind of late afternoon or early evening for me, I guess.
Okay, so we are going to get into Hollywood today, but we're going to answer two questions one question about where they store the clones. So I'll let you answer that for the people out there.
So I did a dumb decode. Are you okay if I mention the other show? I mentioned it.
Yeah, of course. Rick's my good friend. Yeah.
Yeah, on Kirsten's good friend's show, Blessed to Teach show. He has a show on YouTube as well, and I did a decode on there, which was the dumb decode, and any of the dumbs that are in my decode that you see on those lists of the 188 dumbs of which I have 187 listed. Any of them that say they were involved in genetics or experimentation on the 19, 20, or 21 genes in the human genome, that's where they're going to store the clones, and that's done. Literally, they stack what look like coffins, but they're made out of a high type of bulletproof plexiglass, and it's cryogenic storage, and they just stack the clones up in lots of 6 each, depending on how much, one lot, if the person's really famous, like, Jeffrey Epstein or something, or George Soros, they would maybe have 2 or 3 lots of 6, or Michael Jackson, somebody they need all the time, they'd have a lot of lots, depending on how often, and if the original's still alive, like when Michael Jackson died in the Coke fire, they have to have a lot, because once the original's dead, the clones keep falling apart. So you have to punch them out every couple of months. You have to activate. So they have to keep a whole huge amount of them in cryogenic stasis.
Got it. Okay, so that's answered. Okay, so let's start with Hollywood. I will list the witches in order from 1 to 7 and the alternate, okay?
Yep.
We have number 1, Linda Rothschild, head, and I don't know what that word means. Arena? Head.
Ariana. It's a type.
Okay.
It's like for the male head, who is the Duke of Orange, he's the male sorcerer, top black sorcerer on Earth. Who's out of Holland and under the Plantagenet family. His title is the head sorcerer. Of course, he reports directly to Lucifer or Satan. And so his title is Rex or Lord Matria. And then Lucifer's title that he reports to in that system is called Pindar.
Okay. And then so she's the head and she's like the head of the whole thing, right?
Right, of all the witches of the coven.
Okay, we have number 2, Oprah Winfrey. Would you like to tell the little story of what she did at the meeting with the...
Yeah, sure. Each year, the people that run the world, the big bankers that used to run the world, not since Trump, but he's ended all that. But before that, they would meet each year, usually somewhere in Europe, like Geneva. And this is the one.
Bilderberg, right?
Yes, the Bilderberger group.
They still do that. Mm-hmm.
They still do that. They met this year in Italy. Mm-hmm. During the one where Oprah was invited to attend, that was in Geneva. And they took a whole mountain, and the local police were stopping everybody from going up there. And so they had they have the big group meeting where everybody gets in there. And what they do is they all pull their pants down and show each other, like, 8-year-old boys behind the schoolyard back shed or something, like a bunch of juvenile, immature kids. They show their male member to each other. And then Oprah went down and held each member. And so, like, Brett Scowcroft, I have an article where Brett Scowcroft is saying how blessed they were and honored to have the high witch, one of the high witches, come and honor their attendance and hold each of their members. They felt so blessed.
Really sick.
Really disgusting.
Then we have number 3, Gwyneth Paltrow, which we don't hear that much about her, and she's earth. So it's like Chinese feng shui: earth, wood, fire. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Wind, metal. Yep, ether.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have Gwyneth Paltrow. She's Earth. And do you have anything to say about her?
Yeah, she's really big. You always have to have at least one person in each of the big pillars, they call it, which the pillars are of Satan. That I'm talking about here are the ones in which they have Hollywood, they have industry, they have banking, etc. And so Gwyneth Paltrow is the big Hollywood witch. She's the top of the Hollywood witches.
Okay. And then we have number 4, Maria Abramovich.
Abramovich.
Abramovich. Okay.
And she's actually her honorary position. She has an extra honorary position. She's the spirit cooker.
And she's wood. She's wood.
And that's why the spirit cooker either has to be earth or wood.
Okay. So Gwyneth Paltrow's earth. Maria Abramovich is wood, but she left the U.S. because she couldn't take it. She was she left and she went to Europe, I guess.
Yeah. So when they have their big party, she's the cooker. She cooks up the kids and the people that they lay out on big platters.
Yeah.
Like you do pigs, human beings do pigs with an apple in their mouth or something.
Ew.
Yeah, ew. This is definitely the right word.
And then we have number 5, HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton, and she's metal, but isn't she in a comatose state? And aren't they going to replace her?
She's in cryogenic storage up in Iceworm Base, from my understanding, up in Greenland.
Oh.
She's too contagious, and so they have to, that allows them to keep her in a situation where the clones can still function, so they can, follow the clones and find, because the cabal is so huge. I mean, they don't even to this day know everybody, and the clones don't know a lot of times that they're clones, and so they will still go to their handlers and their contacts within the cabal, and it's allowed them to identify over 200, shills and trolls and that kind of thing, and handlers in the cabal.
So they are having one of the clones do the metal part in the witches thing, correct?
Right.
Okay. And then we have number 6, Angelina Jolie. She's fire.
Yeah.
She's nuts, that one.
That's for sure. They all are, but she's really nuts.
She was MK Ultra, wasn't she?
Yeah, quite a few of them are. Yes. Same with the male witches. Quite a few, except for the very top ones won't be, but the ones below that all will be.
But she went through, I read about her, and she went through a lot of CIA mind control, and they split her personality and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and there's 2 big places they do that. One's what the C_A they call the farm, and that's in Virginia. Mm-hmm. And another one is down in Bermuda. It used to be before the Hurricane Dorian.
Yeah, I think they did it at her house, actually, her mother's house.
Yeah, so, well, if the mother's a witch within a coven, then the mother is given that honorary right to do her own daughter.
Okay. But they had people come in, I think, from the CIA to do her. That's what I read.
Yeah, the mother oversits it, and it helps accentuate the programming for the mother to be really brutal to the child, because it helps because the child doesn't expect that their parent are going to do that to them. And so it really creates a schism in the personalities real quick. And so they are able to alter them and do the alters and, all that stuff real quick.
So I read that she was raped and her personality was split.
That's how they split personalities, sexually, torture, as well as like water torture, constantly drowning the person over and over. Big, huge, what they either call woodpecker or spark gap grips, where they're in cages on metal floors and their big lights or sirens will go off. This is what they were doing in China Lake too. And then they'll get electrocuted.
Yeah. And then they'll get raped.
Yeah. So it makes it quicker. Okay,
we have Meryl Streep, number 7.
Yeah, she's actually air.
Yeah.
And she is just real disgusting and evil.
And you have her going into a certain place.
Yeah, there's a club, restaurant, if you want to call it whatever, that you can look up online. It's called Cannibal Club, and it has what they call I'll read this here. Home cuisine, the events and staff and contact. Whenever a taboo is broken, something good happens, something vitalizing. That's from Henry Miller. It says, this club specializing in the preparation of human meat, Cannibal Club, brings the cutting edge of experimental cuisine to the refined palates of LA's cultural elite. Our master chefs haul from around the world from around the world for the opportunity to practice their craft of compromise and unbounded by convention. Our exclusive clientele includes filmmakers, intellectuals, and celebrities who have embraced the Enlightenment ideals of free expression and rationalism. And so the rationalism we're talking about in Satanism, witchcraft, the laws, do as thou wilt. So then they go on to say, on event nights, avant-garde performance artists, and you can go look at some of that in this website where people are up on stage screaming, really appetizing. Celebrated literary figures and groundbreaking musicians entertain our guests. At Cannibal Club, we celebrate artistic excellence as the natural and inevitable expression of the unbridled human spirit. And so if we look at some of the cuisine here, collaborating with visiting cooks from around the world, Chef de Cuisine Sophie Lafitte regularly updates our menu with new and daring culinary experiments. The meat we serve is selected from the young and healthy, consistent with the practice of cannibalism in many primitive societies. We view anthropophagy, in other words, eating of humans, as an homage to the dead, who are reborn into the bodies of their consumers. Each dish, therefore, is a study in taste and elegance. This week's menu includes the following: penne pasta with meat sauce, a delicious meat sauce made from fresh heirloom tomatoes, served over multi-grain penne noodles. Sirloin steak, a flame-broiled 8-ounce sirloin steak was seasoned with fresh garlic, sauteed onions, and our house Worcestershire sauce. And then human placenta lasagna, an otherwise traditional lasagna with one layer of cheese substituted by minced pizzana in an heirloom tomato sauce, seasoned with garlic and onion and oregano. So that gives you a kind of, and then they have a meat pie here at the end for dessert, which the finest slices of tender strips of meat and pastries and a delectable mix of it was like, okay, you get the idea. Okay. Then we go into the events at Cannibal Club. Diamanda Galas, famed avant-garde performance artist, keyboardist, composer, and vocalist. And this lady just slams the keys and screams. You can go watch this stuff. And Susan McClary, Errol's A New Moment, a musical representation focusing on themes of suffering, injustice, and despair. Her works are characterized by visceral shrieks and wails reminiscent of glossolalia, or tongues. She has collaborated with Led Zeppelin bassist John Paul Jones, and her work has appeared in such mainstream films as Natural Born Killers and Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. So that gives you kind of an idea of what they do there. And you can go look, they've actually extended now, and they're out in New York and several other the big cities. So you can go look at their now franchising out.
Okay, so we have an alternate for after the Seven Witches, an alternate transvestite, I guess, tranny, right?
Right. Each coven, from each coven, you have to have an honorable transvestite, because you have to, for a lot of the black magic, you have to have a masculine energy source, and so that's a transvestite.
Yeah, so that's like Michael Obama, but it's Lady Gaga. She's a man.
Yeah, originally born a man.
So, but does she have a vagina now, or does she have a penis?
I believe she's gone the total route and had the clip and tuck.
Okay, so she's had the surgery.
Yeah.
Not like Michael Obama. Oh,
not like Big Mike, yeah.
Not our Big Mike has not had the surgery. Okay, so that's the alternate. That's the 8th one. So now we will, while we're still in the women's section, I have a few things to share. So when I was an actress, I was in the Doors movie for Oliver Stone, And I know a lot of things that were going on. You know, basically Hollywood is like one big brothel, basically. And you have top stars that of that day in the 80s and 90s that were actually going out with producers and doing their thing, that were, you know, high caliber, you know, I would say call girls. And that would be Michelle Pfeiffer, who used to go to Mexico, smoke a lot of pot, and you know, indulge with the producers or whomever to get work. And of course, Demi Moore, well known, you know, going out with super wealthy. So that's a couple that I thought you might be interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While you've been talking, I've been doing some surfing here, and November's VIP list to be attending Cannibal Club this month. Catherine Elizabeth Hudson, Katy Perry, Chelsea Victoria Clinton, Anderson Hayes Cooper, and Meryl Streep.
Oh, but Meryl Streep went in there with De Niro and who else one night?
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks, that beast, okay.
Yeah.
That beast. And he eats, I guess, human meat too.
Yeah, and then they also have now a Cannibal Club restaurant movie about the club.
And this, you have this one is the one in Los Angeles, correct?
Yeah. And
it is, you have the address there?
Hold on, I got to go back. I was reading this, which is pretty interesting. Anders, other attendees to the famous Cannibal Club, Anderson Cooper.
No, of course.
Yeah,
CIA,
of course. So,
CIA Cooper, CIA operative Anderson Cooper, correct.
Let's see if they give the address here somewhere. I know it's downtown LA near, you know, the big place where they all go get all their fancy clothes and all of that stuff.
The Staples Center?
What do they call it? Rodeo Drive?
Rodeo Drive, that's Beverly Hills.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, the one in, you were right. The one in, what were you saying?
Staples Center, where they have all
the Staples, yeah.
That's where they have all the basketball games and stuff. LA.
That one.
Okay, that's fine. And then you said there was another branch in New York.
Yeah. Yes. And that one, let's see if I can find that one now. Hold on. Yeah, let me just type in Cannibal Club, New York. And this one actually, the one in New York, you can order online for home delivery.
Oh my God.
And you can also get an app.
Oh God.
So you can just go by your iPhone and get, you know, order through an app.
Oh God. That is so crazy. Okay.
Elizabeth Blake earned her wings at the New York Theater District that has now opened an extension in New York. It's at 48, the one in New York is at 48 Minnesota Avenue, Bayshore.
Bayshore. Is that in Manhattan? No, that's not Manhattan.
I don't know where that is. I don't know New York that much. I haven't lived in that state.
Bayshore might be either Queens or Long Island. I don't know. But anyway, okay, let's talk about the guys. Let's talk about some of those beasts. That would be Tom Hanks, who was involved with the Isaac Cappy situation, correct?
Right. And then he actually mind controlled. They tortured although Isaac Cappy was turning evidence on anybody, he'd gone to some of those parties and stuff, and they, you know, have Mark altered him, and they do what's called gaming, where they essentially take away, when you're doing that, you keep breaking away and turning on them. They game you to where you don't want to live anymore. So he was going to commit suicide, but then that's not natural to a human. And so he went up on the bridge, but then he changed his mind, and there was an 18-year-old, 19-year-old that the policeman that was driving under the bridge saw the struggle, and they threw him off.
Oh, wow. And when was he MK mind controlled by the clowns in America?
That was about 3 months before he died.
Okay. And what did Tom Hanks have to do with that besides being a cannibal?
He is also of course, one of the sorcerers or warlocks. The top one, again, was the Duke of Orange, and then George Soros was the second, and then Tom Hanks is like down near the bottom. De Niro is in there. Harvey Weinstein, rather, and is in there.
Wow. And they all eat human meat, correct?
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised Jim Carrey's not in there since he's such an angry person.
Yeah, he used to be, as well as Johnny Depp, because they're almost dead from Kuru now. That's why they look like that.
Oh my God.
Celine Dion used to be in the top 7, but she's like barely alive at all. If you look at recent pictures of her, they're barely able to. I mean, Celine Dion looks worse in pictures I've seen of people coming out of the concentration camps at the end of World War II. I mean, I'm like, how can that be alive? I mean, they look like skin over bone. She looks like, old leather taken over bone. So I'm like, wow, really? How could you walk?
Why do they, I mean, that's from, okay, so let's get it straight. So some of them eat, of course, human meat, but do they all partake of eating? You get kuru from the meat or from eating the brain?
I'm glad you asked that. It used to be just from eating the brain, but like a virus.
LA's elite cannibal restaurant boasts Katy Perry, Meryl Streep, and Chelsea Clinton.
Can you still hear me? Hold on, let me.
Dimitri for your Newswire.
Why am I getting your show too?
Do you see?
I don't know why you're who was talking? Was that one of the witches?
Yeah, somebody just witched us.
World order. This is the corruption. This is the Satanism that they stand for. Yes, indeed. I wasn't believing it, but here
hold on.
Go,
okay, I see what I'm getting. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so could you reiterate your last question?
I said, don't they just get kuru from eating the brain and the pineal gland?
Yeah, that used to be the case, but because it's been going on in such quantity and for so long, like a virus, the way a virus, it cannot reproduce itself. It has to have a host.
Right.
And kuru is similar. It's a bent protein. It's still the same chemical formula for it, but it's been bent by presence. And so each time the proteins are the original person is the proteins that they're being passed to, that had it from the person they got it from before, they're using their own proteins. And so what you're looking at is over and over that people are passing protein from person to person to person. So it's changing genetically. So eventually it got to where all of the flesh is
tainted.
Contagious. And then it also got to the point where in late stage 2, and then once you die and you go into stage 3, it becomes airborne contagious.
Those were the corpses that they had in that El Salvadoran agency in Wilshire Boulevard.
Yeah, and as well, it's also why they're burning out the dumps out in Porter Ranch and the tunnels.
Right.
Because it's contaminated, and those people are contaminated. You got to burn them out.
Those are the ones that are decaying, right? Correct.
Right.
Right. I don't know why they should be smarter than that. If they're contaminated, why would they still keep the decaying bodies in there? What's wrong with these people?
Well, they keep them because that's exactly what they want to do. Is they want it's called a dead man switch. That one that they had in the cultural center in LA where the Blackhawks came in.
Mm-hmm.
In night and that's why you see them coming in anti-seize and coming out with that body in a body bag already, and then they sprayed the helicopter. They're doing decontamination.
Right.
And so that's necessary. Otherwise, that'll be spread. And so they had one of those in LA. They had one in Denver. There were two, and they were actually working on some other things in there, but there were 2 scientists that with a small tactical nuke blew themselves up underneath the IA in the lab down there to keep that from getting out and killing everybody in the Front Range, which if that had been the case, probably wouldn't be hearing me today, because that was about 5 years ago.
Yeah, so basically those contaminated bodies that are very, very contaminated and contagious are basically bioweapons.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so do we have anything else to say about?
Well, you're asking about the warlocks or sorcerers. Billy Ray Cyrus
Oh my God.
is Earth, and
Okay.
you can actually go on. They call him Earthly Father, Billy Ray.
And is that why Miley Cyrus is such a nut job?
Yeah. There's all those guys that are in that, and same as the women, they have sex with their children.
Oof.
Part of the satanic rites, you have to do that.
I'm
You
surprised.
also have to sacrifice your firstborn.
I'm surprised Miley Cyrus is not a witch.
Yeah, she's just, usually only have one in a family, because then the one that is the warlock or the witch then has to rape the rest of the family. So, I mean, you can't have two because they'd be raping each other. The energy exchange doesn't work well.
Okay. Okay, let's go into what, do you have any other warlocks besides him? We had, of course, you said Johnny Depp and who else was in there?
Carrie, both were, but because they're nearly dying, they once at that point their energy's so low they can't really do rituals anymore, so they just get rid of them, just throw them out and get somebody else to take their place.
Okay, so are they contagious because they've got Kuru?
Oh yeah. In late stage 2, you become contagious through fluids. So that means if you have open sores, it's just like syphilis. The open sores are contagious. If you have sex, the fluids are contagious. If you get a blood transfusion from them, that's contagious. If they sweat or spit on you, that's contagious. Like there's a court case in Denver where a guy with AIDS spit on somebody, and that's attempted murder. So that's contagious. You can kill somebody that way.
So, like, if Johnny Depp, that's why Jim Carrey hasn't filmed a movie in ages, and he must have sacrificed that girlfriend that committed suicide.
Right.
Right. And then Johnny Depp, he's still shooting movies. So, do people know that he's shooting movies?
Yeah, it's probably most of the time because he's in such bad shape. It's not really him. He's probably in storage now.
It's the clone.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And do we have any others besides? Is De Niro in there?
Yeah, De Niro is third below. First, you have the Duke of Orange, who is Rex or Lord Maitreya. Then you have George Soros, and then you have De Niro. He's number 3.
So George Soros is dead, so he's being done by a clone, I guess.
Right, and they're keeping the body on ice, so there's some, feed through the quantum entanglement to kind of keep the clones somewhat integrated, so they don't have to punch a new one out every 2 weeks, or excuse me, every 2 months.
But I mean, if he exploded himself, how could he be alive?
Well, they keep the fleshy materials alive as much as they could. They have technology to do that. I mean,
but he's basically dead.
Yeah, he's pretty much in pieces.
Okay, all right. Okay, so De Niro's part of it too. Who else do we have? You need to have like 4, right?
You have 7, and then you would have an honorary like a transvestite, but is actually a woman.
Yeah, correct.
So you remember the last show you had, I was talking about Brennan?
Yes.
Yeah, Brennan's actually born a woman.
Oh my God. That would be a very ugly woman. John Brennan.
Well, they get an operation. Again, you can actually get an operation and have all the apparatus. And then that's why he's so effeminate. He would either have to be born a woman or incredibly gay, because if you watch him when he talks, he's incredibly effeminate. And so he's the honorary feminine energy that has to be in there.
So he's the TV, trend?
Yeah.
Okay, and who? Okay, so so the head of it is that orange guy. Then Earth is Billy Ray, and then who is fire and water? Is it?
Yeah, De Niro is water, and then I'm unable to know who replaced Jim Carrey, who is fire. and then and Johnny Depp, who was Wood. So I don't know who they've used to replace those two yet. I haven't been able to get that, as well as the other two that would be below that.
And what about George Clooney? Do we have anything on him?
Oh yeah, sorry, you got one there. I'm sorry, that is, I remember that. Now that you say that, I remember that. And he is Earth.
How can he be Earth? I mean, you have
I'm not Earth. I'm not Earth.
Fire.
He either relieved Johnny Depp or Jim Carrey, so he'd be Fire.
Fire, okay. All right, so we got them all.
Until you tell me the names, I can't, because I'm jumping all over and I'm surfing all at the same time.
So we have Billy Ray Cyrus. The head one was a Duke of Orange. Then we have Billy Ray Cyrus, that is the Earth. And then we have De Niro, that's not water, but he's got to be air, right? There's no water in there, there's air. It's got to be air, right, De Niro? Right?
There's 7 elements. So you have earth, wind, and fire, like the old musical group. You have air, water, wood, and metal.
Yeah, but on the women, we didn't have we did not have a water.
Yeah, because I don't know which of those 7 are which for all of them. I don't know which elements each one represent, because I'm not in the coven, and it's hard to get information out because they don't leak very much.
I think Oprah would be water.
Possibly.
My guess. Okay, so we got pretty much all of them, I think.
Yeah.
And so John Brennan's in there. Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, let's get into maybe the music industry. We know that John Podesta is extremely evil, right? Correct?
And his brother Tony.
Yeah, Tony's in Gitmo. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and then you said Gitmo was compromised, correct?
Yeah, they fixed it. It was attacked by sonic weapons. They originally, if you remember on the cue board, they had Hillary's running, and then they caught her, and then she was there. And then if you go to the 8chans after they had her there, it said, due to hostage situation, there may never be mass arrests. The hostage situations, they hit it from Havana with sonic weapons. Which you can hear them if you go to Rick's Decode on my first Decode on the Dumps. You can hear the beeping and tweeting, and that's what a sonic attack sounds like. It's actually, when it's picked up by a signal, and what's called heterodyning takes place, and so you're hearing a subharmonic. But the signal is actually normally outside the human wavelength. It's hypersonics. And so they hit it with a hypersonic that knocked everybody down, and then they came and rescued Big Mike and Barry, who were on a nearby island. They actually weren't in Gitmo. They were in a much more, safe containment area. They actually rescued them and everybody else that was there, and they grabbed General Green, General Mattis, and one other general that I haven't been able to find out who it was. But if you remember when Trump was talking about Korea and we have all our hostages back, well, those people, that's bodies. They're not really hostages. They're dead. The remains would be more appropriately stated, because there were no more people alive from Korea.
So the Mattis, you just meant to mention Mattis, and who else?
General Green and General Mattis. And that's why, once they got them back, they did essentially hostage transfers like you do, you see in the spy movies. Right. And so then that allows when Trump gets in, for them to do the mass arrests and all that they plan to do.
So they were kidnapped by the Black Hats, correct?
Yep, when they took Gitmo. And so the White Hats took it back, and they've had to, use, like you see when Trump's talking, people think that those monitors on each side are just for him to read from. Those are actually protecting from sonic attacks as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm surprised they didn't mind control Green and Mattis. I guess
they can try, but those people are actually trained to withstand that. Those big generals and that are trained on how to withstand that, so they can withstand it for quite a while. And then when they get them back, they check. They have scanners just like you see in Star Trek, like a bioscanner, and you can actually I have one. You can download the app from a company. and have your own scanner on from your iPad. It scans all your energy and tells you what minerals and everything you're deficient in. But they scan them, make sure there's no implants, either, AI or bio implants or anything else. And then they also, check them, make sure they're not under mind control and all that, because that can be done with scanners on the human brain. You can actually run them through batteries of tests where they go through emotional states and see if it activates other areas of the brain that shouldn't be activating, which are, where the alters are.
Wow. Okay, great. So let's get into John Podesta. Is he in the Warlocks or not?
Yeah, he's one of the Warlocks, him and his brother.
Okay, all right. So he's
I
in
think we got them all there, don't we? Are we done?
Yeah, I don't know what Warlock he is, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know which elements they are, because like I said, if you go look at Gwyneth Paltrow, they even say online that she's an Earth Witch. She's the Earth Witch. So, some of them, they just declare who they are.
Right. And then his son was Chester Bennington, correct? John Podesta's son.
I don't know on that.
The singer. He looks just like him, like exactly like him, and they sacrificed him and his friend. Yeah. Yes.
On the lineages, I'm better on to 100, the last 200 years up to about 40 years ago. Because Hitler was a son of the Rothschilds, and Meryl is his daughter, along with 2 other heads of state. And then, because Hitler was originally born, his father's name was Schicklgruber, and the Schicklgrubers are intermarried, intersexed part of the Rothschild family.
Okay, so what was I going to say? So we got them all. Do you have any thing to say about George Clooney? So if he's part of it, he must eat human meat also.
Yeah, and he's currently the male that in the Hollywood, because like I said, they got to have one in each of the 7 pillars of society. So he's the Hollywood male representative. He would work with Gwyneth Paltrow with Hollywood. So when those have those big parties like Cappy was going to, they'd be the one presiding over the ritual abuse and the sacrifices.
So he doesn't have Kuru though, or does he?
He's only on stage 1. Okay.
And his wife is a man, correct? That Amal Clooney, she just.
Yeah. They're most of all of those people are gay.
Right.
Rarely do you have somebody who's heterosexual. If they're heterosexual, they're more bisexual, where they go either way. They don't care.
They prefer the Baphomet look.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Yeah, so I think we covered everything pretty much. I know Hollywood's a huge brothel, and a lot of them are into the S&M from the throwback to the days in Egypt and whatever, but a lot of those
Samaria and Babylon and
yeah, so they're into that, and
that's where all that ancient witchcraft was perfected. And then finally the ultimate of perfection was the Book of Solomon.
Right.
And Solomon's temple. And in there, what he was doing was actually enslaving demons to build his temple for him. And that's why when he died and they pursued Bathsheba, because she had got the book, his wife. I think it's Bathsheba. Maybe I'm confused. His mother. Yeah. She had the Book of Solomon. And they did never. You've got that down really well. They never wanted to be enslaved like that again. So they wanted to get that book. And that's why they chased her to the ends of the earth and finally got her and killed her, because they really did not want to have somebody doing, spells on them and controlling them and forcing them to do things. They were really upset.
Right. Okay, I guess we covered everything in a good period of time. I didn't cut you off so much. Everyone was complaining that I interrupt you, but with you, I have to kind of get it, ask certain questions to get the information out. But I think this time we got all the information out with, it's great. And you need to tell all of my subscribers that you're going to be on vacay for
3 weeks.
Yep. And
kind of a working vacation, kind of more, you know, doing work in the field.
And do you want to say where you're going or no?
Oh no, I don't want to die.
Okay, all right.
I already got attacked just going out to a opera last night. I had I almost had to drop a guy in the opera. It's like I can't throw him around because there's people everywhere. Old people. He follows this big huge guy and he got all belligerent and wanted to fight right in the opera. I'm like, you know, and then finally the people that run the place came up. Do we need to call security? I go, maybe, might be a good idea. This guy's getting real belligerent. He goes, I'm going to be way more than belligerent with you. I'm like, okay, go ahead. I'm fine. Let's go.
Anyway, okay, so people, subscribers, do not leave nasty comments because you want to cut off the comment section. And, you know, it's a certain channels have more to talk, but I'm
You're digitizing, Kirsten.
What?
You're under digital attack. You are starting to be digitized. So let me say, don't bother with shills and trolls and all of those people out there. Don't bother with nasty comments or this isn't so or that, because why even? We're not going to even bother answering those kind of things. If that's your opinion, fine. If you don't like what you hear here, don't come here. If you don't like what I'm saying, you don't want to believe it, I'm fine with that. Do your own research, prove what you think to be true or not, or prove this isn't true. If you find out stuff isn't true, then come back with your proof, and I'm willing to talk to you. So, you know, I'm always open to, you know, I'm not perfect. I'm not Jesus Christ. I don't, you know, I'm not flawless. I can make mistakes. I can get fooled. I'm not God. So, you know, I'm not saying I'm infallible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I do the best I can with what I know and the insiders and the information I get. No one's infallible except for God. So, you know, we make mistakes. We're not God. And so don't bother contacting, you know, Kirsten about me. I'm gone for 3 weeks. And for the shills and trolls out there, your masters are running out of money. The Rothschilds are broke. The Payshures are gone. And they're running out of kiddos. And when they're done with you and they can't pay you and they can't use you, what happens to you? It's called dinner. You become dinner. So I would wake up while you got time and get yourself out of there before you become the next meal.
Correct. Okay. All right. So thanks so much. And can you hear me still or no?
Yes, I can, Kirsten.
You can or you can't?
Yes, I can.
It says your speaker is not working. Please check your connection and use a different speaker. I don't have time to do that, but I want to dedicate this video to Fitzgerald, who does a lot of great work in Hollywood. And this video is for her. Thank you. Thanks, Gene.
Thank you. God bless. God bless all.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.